Oh, how about this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. When you turn it on, it's beautiful. Cool. All right. Well, good to see all of you out there. We're going to keep admitting people and letting folks join the call. As I put together a list of topics, it seems like we're going to have a really jam-packed call today. So we have a lot going on. Our overall agenda today is going to be to do a very short pottery parade. And did I get recording on? I think so. So a very short pottery parade, followed by a nice demo from Khaled, who's going to show us some cool things on the wheel, Pep Gomez style bowls. And then after Khaled, we'll turn it over to Kedrick out in Kansas City to talk to us about residency programs and what he's up to. And then after that, we'll go back and talk about studio news, classes, things like that. So instead of doing an actual pottery parade out of the kiln, right? Normally we have a kiln to unload. Today, you know, we don't have a kiln to unload. We actually put bisque in a little earlier. But I thought I would share my screen and take you over to Facebook and just show you some of the things that are happening that we posted out there. So if you haven't been out there, this is a great opportunity to go to facebook.com/hirefire and check out our page. You can like us, and then you'll get notifications when we post lots of pottery and such. So facebook.com/hirefire, not videos necessarily, but hirefire. And we made a couple 3 posts this week, so there's a lot to check out. First, we did a kissed by the kiln when the oxidation kiln was unloaded. And I'll just point out here if I can get to there. Bonk. This was sort of the culmination of a lot of oil spot tests. And there are a lot of good pieces and pots in there. But if you flip through, there are some really wonderful pieces by Christina Chang and others with really great results. So check it out, hand-painted items. We're gonna be doing an oil spot class, we hope, later in the fall. And in the meantime, Christina and I will probably be investigating more colors and things to get from the oil spot glazes. Some of these are pieces by Tatiana, Larina, Leslie Allen. Anyway, lots of nice things. Oh, this is the money shot pot. Look at this one. So this one is one of Christina's mugs with the black oil spot and our rutile glaze underneath it. It's amazing. So besides oil spot, we also had a kissed by the kiln. Oops, hang on here. How do I get back? We'll hit that. We also had kissed by the kiln in reduction. And that was over here. Want to give you a quick tour of that. That was great. Let's try that again. Oh, come on. so lovely to watch Dan fumble around on his computer. You're also, and Jamie, I see. Yeah, I don't know. It should keep popping up. All right, can I get here? Yay. Anyway, again, lots of nice pots. We're always trying to show you all the cool glazes and things. Lichen glaze for Terry Gelfenbaum came out great. Jamie had some beautiful vases. Look at that. Pumpkin glaze in the middle there, and then off to the right. So this is like a currently in vogue glaze combination. It's mermaid over Wurtz, and has a really nice sort of stony green look to it. And people have been doing that. Other thing I wanted to show you out of the reduction pots, of course, there's more fabulous glaze overlaps there with Monterey over Wrights, was this one. So probably our most commented upon photo from all of these Kissed by the Kilns was this mug by Gay Height. It's beautiful, yeah. And so we convinced Gay that she should come and talk to you about her process. So in 2 weeks, she will be our featured demo, and we'll have her on to talk about taping and underglaze and getting some of those interesting modern patterns onto your pieces. So anyway, that's a little teaser for upcoming in 2 weeks. One last thing to show you in our Facebook tour. So up in front of the studio, we have beautiful succulent garden planters. And this week, here we go. These 3 rascals replanted them for us and really made them look nice. So we want to say a big thank you to Christina and Diane and Barb. Yay! You guys did a great job. They look awesome. And we also want to thank Lucia Quaife. So 2 years ago, Lucia came in and brought in a ton of succulents from her garden and just completely replanted the front of our studio without asking. It just like changed overnight and they were gorgeous. So Lucia is taking a little break from the studio at the moment, and she'll be back, we hope, later in the fall. But we were looking a little overgrown, I think, from being shut down and nobody looking after these. And anyway, they look great now, and we want to thank all our lovely studio volunteer master gardeners for helping us out. There you go. All right, I think that is it for the Facebook overview. I'm going to go back to my screen now. How do I do that? Bonk. Yep. Here I go. Okay, we're back. One thing to point out before we get to our demo that you're all waiting for, we do have a brand new gallery feature. And do you guys want to grab me a couple of quick pieces from the gallery? So, or we could. Anyway, it is a lovely feature installed by Kurt today of Thomas Love's beautiful, beautiful wood-fired and chino glazed works. There's tons of tea bowls, there's vases, there's some beautiful, beautiful platters as well. So we're going to show you a couple of those pieces, and we strongly encourage you to come on in, check it out. And ooh, it's on the Khaled cam. Should we pin that? Let's see. Let's spotlight the Khaled cam. Look at those. Whoa. Gorgeous angry chino. Pots that look like burnt toasted marshmallows. Beautiful glaze results. You want to come and check it out before they're gone. And I'll be fighting with you over which ones I get to have. Look at that. Cool. All right, I think we will transition over to our featured demo of the week. Khaled, are you ready? You feeling good?
Yeah, let me show you when you're throwing what not to do. Don't try to adjust your mask when you're throwing. You end up with a diaper mask. So, yeah. So one side effect of adjusting your mask while throwing, you're gonna end up with clay on your mouth. So Kurt, Salinas called it the diaper mask. All right. So yeah. Well, before I go to the wheel, I'm gonna show you. How's this? This? It's good.
Good. You guys hear Khaled through there?
Good. Okay. So yeah, I had a. What I'll be demoing for you today is some pieces that I learned from a workshop in France with a French artist. His name is Pep Gomez. His style is really free style. There is one video of him on YouTube. If you want to look him up, maybe I'll also send the link to Dan, and he can share it with an email. It's a very free style, and I think you'll enjoy it. Anyway, so I'll be demoing a bowl, not glazing the bowl, just how he makes these bowls. No trimming at the bottom, and interesting type of edge on the foot. A lot of decoration with pencils, underglaze pencil, and other underglazes. And that's a bottle also. I'll be showing you the bottle. Oh, slower. I'll be showing you the bottle next after the bowl. It's actually two pieces and the handle. He doesn't trim anything, just thrown off the wheel and move on. That's a cup of his also. You can see it decorates a lot with iron oxides and brushed with underglaze and other ash glazes. So having said that, maybe I'll go to the wheel. Okay. We ready? All right. So I'm going to start with the bowl. And if you're curious about the weight, he instructs, because it's Europe, he instructs about it in grams. So this is 500 grams. I don't know how many pounds. I don't know, maybe a little bit more than a pound. And and throw just straight on the wheel head. We don't even use any bats. So start by usual centering. Now, I won't say much about the centering. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not gonna go through centering. I'm just gonna say I centered. Okay. And do opening as usual. And start by making kind of a cup shape, a little higher. And you can see I'm keeping the bottom kind of narrow. I'm not making it too wide. Okay, so now this is where I'll form the foot. And he uses the credit cards a lot, like a rib to form the foot or whatnot. He uses the credit card quite often. So here it comes. I'm gonna scrape some of the excess clay at the bottom. I'm gonna move my hand a little bit away so you guys can see. So using the edge of the credit card, you go underneath the clay create this edge over here. Sometimes you can go back and forth, make the edge wider or narrower as you wish, or even elevate it even more. So it's just very organic looking foot. It's nothing symmetrical about it. There's no symmetry whatsoever in his pieces, right? So once you kind of start to shape the foot a little bit, then you continue to make that cup shape even wider, like a V-ish shape, right? Okay, a little bit, maybe one more pull. Okay. Now here comes the part that I thought was mind blowing, and when he showed the bowls, I was like, oh wow, this is different. And they moved on to making cups and bottles and salad bowls, and I kept making bowls after bowl after bowl. I was stuck on it. So yeah, I loved his technique for making bowls. So you can, I don't know, create grooves on the outside if you want. But the very crucial thing is now you have to wet your hand and wet the body on the outside and support with your fingers on the outside like this. Your rib has to be wet. It cannot be dry. And then you support like this and you push from the bottom going to the edge. So right? So you can do it maybe like a couple times to even make it wider and larger, give it more volume. All right, that's it. And then if you want to adjust on the inside or make it even wider, you can do it from here. Okay. Gonna take the water out from the inside. And you can see it's wobbly all over, and that's part of the beauty from these bowls. If you're obsessed with symmetry, this is not for you. You know? And then you can add these swirly marks, using your finger on the inside, kind of add to that bowl shape. Okay, so now to remove it from the wheel, we also made these tools. It's actually two solid wires. This is solid wire, and they're braided together. Oh, lower? Okay, so two solid wires, and they're braided together and kind of epoxied to these wooden handles. If you end up getting one of these, you don't want to turn it around your fingers to cut. It will break because they are solid wires. So you just want to hold it like this, and you would cut. And another addition to the kind of wabi-sabiness of the bowl is you push with your finger like this to remove it, and with these two fingers on the outside, and it's done. He doesn't adjust anything with it. So, so that's a bowl. I'll show you some bowls that I threw earlier. They're probably a little bit more rigid. So let's see, that's a good looking one. So that's how it looks like on the inside. And that's the foot where he used the finger to kind of pry it off the wheel. So that's a mark that you'll see it on all of his bowls, like when he pried it off the wheel. And you might even get like a little bit of dents over here. So that's as much as bowls. Any questions? How many pounds? I really didn't convert. It's 500 grams. 1.1 pound. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the math. Yes, sir. Oh, over here, I'm using the reclaim. Over there, it's just what do you call high fire groggy clay. I don't know what it's called. It's about the same grogginess. It's, yeah, it feels about the same. It looks like charcoal black, but when you fire it, it turns white. I don't know how or why, almost white. I don't know how or why, but it's really a nice clay to work with. So why did this thing turn off? Okay, here we go. So let's do a bottle, and I'll start with the bottom part of the bottle, and that's 600 grams or thereabouts, right? So goes on the wheel. Okay, usual opening. And the usual pulling. This time, as I'm pulling, I'm gonna direct the edge to go inward because I want to have that kind of a closed opening on the top, semi-closed opening. So I think I have a bubble. Is there a needle tool? Oh, good, thank you. It's not a bubble. It is something else. Okay, here we go. Hmm? Yeah, it adds to the wabi-sabiness. Should coin that as a word, wabi-sabiness. Wabi-sabiness. There we go. The wabi-sabiness of my life. Okay, let's bring that top opening in, color it. So these pieces are not trimmed. Do make sure that you make use of the clay a lot on this corner, right? A lot of times, I mean, by habit, we leave a lot of clay at the bottom over here at the corner. So just use as much as you can of it. Because there's no trimming involved in this. And get the water out. Color it. See, it's that whatever I had earlier. See, when I bring in this opening to close it, I put my fingers inside over here and I just make a pull right above my fingers. So my fingers supporting on the inside. That's just how I do it. He does it differently. I'm sure you'll find many other different ways. Okay, the opening's almost there. Just make it a little bit narrower. And if you want to achieve this like curvature on the outside, it's good to have, throw against your finger on the inside like this, supporting. Right? Okay, so the opening is about an inch, maybe a little bit more than an inch. And so same way of shaping the foot, we're using the same credit card. And let me get rid of some excess clay. So here it goes. So you put, can you guys see with my hairy leg on the view? So you put the credit card, I don't know if you can see, but the credit card below the clay, and you pry the clay upward to create this edge like this. Or maybe it doesn't show so much. Let's do it again. If you don't like it, you can push it back downward. And with the credit card again, below it, and pry that credit card upward. And I'm also supporting with my thumb over here, kind of rounding it off with my thumb. So that kind of foot. Okay. So the bottom part is finished. Can put it on the side. The usual cutting from the wheel, except that this time it's probably a little too wet. There we go. So like this, you see the dimple there, and just put it away. So now the next thing is to create the nozzle for it. And that one is done off the hump. I have centered, semi-centered a hump earlier. And for the sake of speed, I'll just use that. How's everybody doing? Everybody's quiet. No question, nothing. You sponge the bottom. Right now it has some rough edges. No matter what you do, you will have some rough edges on the side. All he does is he sponge around the bottom a little bit before, to finish it off. Oh, okay, I see. So the question came up right now is, do you trim the bottom or do you smooth it at all? Is that what you ask? No, this is it. The chunkiness of that ball is just my suckiness of throwing it. But yeah, I'll have Thomas show that to the camera. So it's wood fire. Yeah. Now the question is, what kind of firing? It's wood fire overnight. Okay. So I centered part of this hump, and I'm gonna create a nozzle for this. I'm throwing off the hump. One thing he does a lot to alter his pieces is, so he does things that we tell the students not to do. So he touches the clay, and then he goes fast with the wheel, and then stops, and then goes fast with the wheel. Then he stops. So he does that like at the final stages of creating a piece. So we tell that to students, don't touch the clay when the wheel is not turning. He does the opposite. Yeah, for wabi-sabiness, I suppose. Yeah. See, I altered it too much. I ended up with too much wabi-sabiness. my experience, I can't say good. A question came is if I can talk a little bit about my experience there, the workshop in France. I can't say good enough things about it. Really friendly people. You get wined and dined 3 meals a day. And mussels, yeah, Kurt saw a picture of a big vat of mussels being cooked. Yeah, the artist, there's tradition is that the artist at one point they'll cook a meal. So this particular artist, he went to the market and bought like 3 bushels of mussels and cooked them in a big vat, you know. Yeah, Kurt always remembers it. But yeah, really friendly people in the settings of a medieval village. South of France, the village, it's in south of France. It's called Cordes sur Ciel. Sur Ciel is above sky. It's called like that because the clouds in the evening, they're right below the village. And then you can see the village like sitting on clouds. It's very nice. Anita been there too, right, Anita? She can say good things about it. It's not a residency, it's just a workshop. Yeah, it's a week. Yeah. So I'm trying to pull height on this nozzle. Okay, maybe that's good enough. How am I doing on time? Am I taking too much time? Oh, 5 minutes. Ooh. You should have given me 10 minutes. Okay, here it goes. So the nozzle, again, with the credit card, it creates these effects, and you can also do these kind of things, these kind of altering, you know, all sorts of things to alter it. Maybe I pushed it too much. Now it collapsed. See, that's what happens when you press me for time. Okay, so let's say this is the handle. Oh, not the handle, the nozzle. And I have thrown and let dry this bottom piece earlier, the usual score and slip. Let me put it on this chair for now. I'll clean it up. And so you just cut it over here. Okay. He doesn't score the bottom over here, just whatever slip there is on it, and he plops it on top like this. Okay. And to even add more wabi-sabiness to it, he brings a banding wheel. Let me just bring that. Yeah. And then he turns the banding wheel to adjust the, no, don't push the wheel on the banding wheel. So he turns the banding wheel, and that's a sucky nozzle. But you know, basically just turning this, and he doesn't blend the edge. The edge is kept like this, and he also adds a little bit more, bumps it a little bit more. The last thing that's being done to it is adding a handle, but I think I don't have time for this. But suffice to say, this is the handle. You wait till this to dry, blowtorch it maybe, and then when you add the handle, let's pretend this handle is steady enough over here. And so you pull the handle at an angle like this. Don't pull it straight if you want to give the handle this angle going to the top. So tilt the piece like this, and then pull the handle, and then attach. Okay. Looking, yeah, Pep Gomez will not be proud of me, but this is the best I could do given the time. So we have questions. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, it is so good.
All right. All right. Yay, Khaled. Let's see. Oops. All right. So we're getting ready to transition to our second half of the program show. So we're so fortunate to have Kedrick Mackenzie talking to us today. Yay, Keds. We miss you so much. This is such a treat. Thank you for joining us. So Kedrick's going to talk a little bit about residency programs in general, and then his experience in particular. And then hopefully we get to see some of your work, maybe a little bit of your studio, whatever you want to show us. We are going to eat it all up. So here's Kedrick. Yay, Keds.
Hi everyone. Can you guys, okay, can everybody hear me? Can I see thumbs up if, oh
Yes.
great, okay. I wish I had the Britney Spears microphone. I am sad I missed the memo. So hi everyone, as Dan said, I'm Kedrick. If I have not met you, I worked at HireFire for about 3 years, and I moved in 2019 from San Jose to Kansas City, Missouri, because I am one of 3 artists in residence at the Kansas City Clay Guild. This is our logo. I don't know what they're doing with their hands. That doesn't look like a pottery position, but that's beside the point. So when I was in school, I went to San Jose State with Joey and Thomas and that whole group of troublemakers. I went there and got a degree in sculpture, and then I worked at HireFire for 3 years. There's a little bit of overlap, and I kind of only threw on the wheel when I was at HireFire, and I wanted to get back into sculpture, and the stars were kind of aligning for me to move away from San Jose, where I had lived my whole life. And so I started applying for residencies, which are ways for me to get studio space and support, and ways for me to make work and kind of have my job be making the kind of artwork that I want to make. And so a residency can really be anything. And I chose with mine to dip my feet back into the waters of sculpture. So I haven't thrown in like a year, which is kind of crazy. I need to throw a little bit so I don't forget anything. But so I am in Kansas City, Missouri. My residency is 1 year or 2 years, and I chose for it to be 2 years. So I'm about to end my first year in a month and a half-ish. So with my residency, I get a studio space, which I'm in right now, and I'll show you a little bit. And I get a little monthly stipend, so I get a little spending money every month that I can spend on clay or tools or supplies, but nothing is free. And so in exchange for the studio space and the support, I work for the guild 12 hours a week. So I load kilns and mix glazes and mop floors. And now in the era of COVID, we're only letting people come into the guild at certain times to pick up pottery. So I get to be here during those times to help people find their bisque pieces, which is a skill I refined at HireFire. So it's a little bit of everything. I just say yes to whatever they ask me to do, because once I get those 12 hours, then I don't have to do that until the next week. So, and we I'll talk about the guild for a little bit too. Also, I can see the chat bar. So if anybody has any questions while I'm talking, just shoot a little chat text thing over there. So the guild, the Kansas City Clay Guild, which has a very fun sounding name, is very similar to HireFire in that it's like a community studio, and there are people that pay membership fees, and there are people who take classes. We are, I would say it's about the same size, like in terms of space, like square footage as HireFire, but with fewer shelves. So there's even less storage. So it's different. We do gas firings to Cone 10. So we have 2 Cone 10 kilns that I fire as part of my work. We have we fired a Cone 6 a lot too in an electric kiln. So Cone 6 is a cooler temperature than Cone 10, so you can get a different look. All of the work I'm going to show you today is Cone 6. I've been firing to that temperature because I like what I'm getting and I don't want to risk going to a higher temperature. And then we do bisque firings and all of that. The gas kilns here are manual, so I have to be here the whole time the kiln is firing and adjusting it and making sure we get the good reduction. And let me tell you, our firings are not as good as they are at higher fire because we don't get a lot of those same juicy reds that you guys get. So enjoy them while you can, or just enjoy them. So Anita asked if this residency was my first choice, which is a great question. So I looked at certain geographic areas where I was interested in moving or where I knew there was a good clay culture. So even if you are in San Jose, even if you live in San Jose, there are residency options there, like at studios or schools or nonprofit art groups. So I was looking at different cities, and Kansas City had several residencies, and I applied to several, and I got this one, and all the other ones said, no, we're good. So this was the one I took. So that's why I am here at the Clay Guild. And that's like a brief little bit about this specific residency and my journey here. I think no residency is the same, so every one is a little different. And then I kind of took this one and am using this time, these 2 years, to create work, to create a portfolio of however many artworks that I can use to apply for graduate school programs, or then I can submit those images to apply for other residencies. Because the art world revolves kind of around 2 things, your resume and then your portfolio of images, and both of which need to be pretty good. So you can have a great resume, but if you don't have good images, it's harder to get into schools or other residencies, and it's vice versa if you have really great images but no experience or no social skills. So I'm trying to balance that and create some work that is cohesive, and I can't wait to show it to you. I will talk a little bit about when you move to a different studio, you have to adjust to the things that your old studio provided and your new studio does not provide. So I have done a lot of testing. So if you imagine that that wall of tiles at higher fire, someone had to make all of those tests and fire all of them. And here, no one has done that for the type of work, type of clay I'm using, and the type of glazes I'm using, and the type of colors I'm using. So a lot of what I'm going to show you are just tests, which is kind of fun, but it's a lot of testing. And I also am having to buy my own tools and equipment. Like if I need to grind the bottom of something, I can't walk over to Dan's shelf and borrow his grinding wheel because there is no Dan, and the studio here doesn't have a grinding wheel. So that's something also that was fun to, not fun, it was a thing to adapt to. So where do Marie asked, hi Marie, where do you want to apply for grad schools? Well, that's a bit of a journey, and I'll speak quietly because literally everybody in the studio can hear me. I am looking at other cities, other big cities, because Kansas City is smaller than San Jose, and Kansas City is mostly white and a different culture that I don't see myself living in for much longer. So I'm looking at other cultural hubs like Chicago and New York City and other, those are the top 2. CSU Boulder, looked at there, although that's, Colorado's equally as white, but that's another school that I'm looking at. I'm going to apply, and then if I get in, be picky. And then Mark asked if I'm in touch with other residents at other studios. I'm in touch with the residents that their studios are across the hallway. I know a few other residents. I was just beginning to dip my feet into Kansas City clay culture, and then everything shut down and the world got upside down. So I'm kind of just staying in my own universe. I follow a lot of people on Instagram, so I kind of know the work that people are making. The clay culture is different here. There's one clay store in the Kansas City area, and is a different vibe than, you know, the clay planet, clay circle. So it's just a whole different thing. And I kind of came in here as a newbie, outsider. I wouldn't say newbie, outsider, adjusting to Midwest life. So I hope that answered it. But let me give you a quick studio tour. I'm going to move the camera very slowly. So, sorry, that was really fast. This is the door to my studio. I have one row of shelving that runs against the back wall. Then I have another unit of shelving and then the wall. And that's it. I think there's enough space for me to lie down, but not much more. I do want to show you, this is a fire door, a fire wall, like a door. I could open that. And those pellets right there are allegedly from a shotgun blast. So I have this shotgun decoration on my wall, which I enjoy. And there's a room right outside there. And if I'm lazy, I open that door and go to the sink instead of walking around to the other door. So I'm in this little like hallway studio with two doors. Here's one of the pieces I'm working on. I'll talk about that in a second. Oh, I should put a texture on the wall. It's really interesting. I painted over it, but I don't know the story. I'm pretty sure it's a shotgun blast, but I don't know the reason for why. I think someone was trying to see if the firewall, I don't know. Anyway, so I have been working with Cone 6, like I said, and I have been doing a lot of testing and kind of moving slowly. So the work I'm going to show you is really random. I have been making whatever I think of without questioning why, and then thinking about why am I making this later. And so it's a little eclectic. This top shelf right here, these are all random tests. So a lot of them are color tests, and a lot of them are techniques that form the textures. So I have been experimenting a lot with colored clay. So these are they look exactly the same, but this one is a lighter blue. These are mason stains mixed into a Cone 6 porcelain, because I'm wanting to make all these bright colors. This is a blue. I have here a black, and in this box right here, I have tons and tons of little square tests that tell me what kind of color I can get. So I'm geeking out over this. So these are 3 red clays that are mixed with mason stain. You can't read my handwriting. 6097, which is dark red. And I'm doing this to get color. So basically, I'm taking these powders that are stains and mixing them into my porcelain, which dyes the porcelain a different color. So instead of it being white, I'm getting this spectrum of color. And then so I'm adding small percentages and large percentages to get different saturation of that color to kind of get different results. I'm going for these really highly saturated, bright colors. I think this is not, a bad thing, but working at Cone 10 made me miss bright, saturated, like pop art colors, which is just harder to get when you're firing in a gas kiln to a really high temperature. And I would love to explore those things. So some of the things I'm making are some fruit. So here's a little red tomato, and here's a little apple, a fairly large apple. And I'll start to tie all this together, but this is me just making whatever crosses my mind. And I should add that this residency kind of gives me the freedom to do that. So this is a 2-year program, and then at the end of the second year, I'll have a show kind of showing off what I've made during my 2 years here. I think other residencies are a little more structured, or they can be more guided in, like, you need to have something by 3 months or whatever, whereas here I could pretty much do whatever I want. Everything I'm going to show you, most everything I sculpted, I made from pinch pots. So this apple I took two two balls of porcelain, and then made two little pinch pots, two hemispheres, semi-spheres, and attached them together, and then slowly removed any texture and shaped it into an apple and put my little details on it. This is one of my new favorite colors. It's this bright yellow. This is a little apricot peach little guy. And then I'm also making, let's see, I'm making some plants. So this is the magnolia blossom. And I've made lots of blades of grass. I've rented apartments for the past few years in San Jose, and I live in a house here with a lawn that I have to mow. And I have always strongly disliked mowing lawns. So I started making these little grass lawns because I just am so tickled by the idea of having this patch of grass that we cut to keep it short. And it's funny to me. One thing I really wanted to talk about before I show you some of this stuff is I'm making all of these fragile things like this little magnolia blossom. And this is really fun. It's fun to think, oh, I'm going to make a really delicate porcelain flower. And then it dries and you have to load it into a kiln, or you have to give it to someone else to load into a kiln. So I have a lot of ways of loading these pieces easier and safer. So this is a public safety announcement. If you ever want to try making things that are fragile or delicate, it really helps the kiln loaders if you spend some time figuring out ways to load them, or ways to make it easier to load. So this is a little stand that I made. So this sits on a stand. This was one of my first magnolia blossoms. It's not but it has a stem, and so I made this little stand. And the problem, I'm trying to make pine needles, and so I'm extruding little itty bitty connections unstable. Are we back? Can you hear me? Okay. These are pine needles, and I'm legitimately crazy because they're very thin and very fragile. But I started making all these, and then I was like, oh, how on earth am I going to load these into a kiln without breaking them? Because you literally look at them and they break. So I've been making, I've made all these little clay boats that I load the pieces on. So this has a bunch of, I've been making these little little cactus spikes that then I stick into my cactus sculptures to get a cactus look. I am crazy. So if you are making little things like this, you gotta put them in something. So these little trays, a little stand. So I can load this up with all these little itty bitty needles, and then just set it in the kiln and walk away and don't have to worry about it. And it's not a headache for anybody. So that's my safety announcement. Please think of the kiln loaders. And then I think I spoke about these the last time I crashed one of these calls, but I have these bird skulls that I've been making. Again, I thought, what if I tried making some bird skulls? What birds are interesting to me? And so I just started making them. So again, not based on any like, I want to make these deep brooding pieces on life and death or whatever. I was like, oh, that would be cool. These are neat. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. Here is an ibis skull, and then I made a colored one. This is a little it's upside down. A little dove skull that's colored blue. This is a paler light blue. So I made all of these bits and bobs, and then I wanted to start to put them together in cool little assemblies. So hang on one second. So I've got this little piece that I'm workshopping. It's not quite finished yet, but it is a great horned owl skull and a bright red heirloom tomato. And as I was looking at all of these fruit and vegetables and this birds coming out of the kilns, I was connecting them with a lot of really specific memories of childhood. Like my dad grew tomatoes in the garden all the time, and we would have to help him in the garden every Saturday, and we all hated it. And so I have all of these vivid childhood memories of fuming in the garden. And so maybe I'm trying to wreck it with that and make all these fruit. My parents had 3 apple trees, and so my life, especially the summer, was full of picking apples and then creating apple products like applesauce and apple pies and apple butter. And so I have this connection to apples based off of hours of labor. And then my parents had a magnolia tree, which is in San Jose, which is an odd, they don't do very well there because they need a lot of water, and San Jose is not known for a lot of water. But it's beautiful. So we've always had this magnolia tree. So I'm realizing a lot of the things I'm making are connected to these memories. Let me show you another piece. So another clay that I'm working on is this black clay, which is called Cassius clay, and it fires this really dark, almost metallic looking piece. And so I started making these California poppies out of the Cassius because I really liked the look. So this is a little piece. It's a little California poppy resting on some pine needles on a little plinth that's supported by some pomegranates and some apples. And this is all glued together. So I fired all these separately and then I glued it together because I didn't want to try to bond 2 separate clays together or create all these score marks on this pomegranate that I'm trying to make look like a real pomegranate and not like a clay pomegranate. The last piece that I'll show you, which is just bonkers. I think I just haven't spoken to a human being because of the shutdown, so I'm just making all this crazy stuff. But this is a little banana on a brick. It's a little porcelain brick. And then I think I'm going to put a little something right on top, but I'm not sure yet. I have been making these petals. So these are a bunch of it's a yellow porcelain, and I poked a hole in it and then made a little wreath of with fishing line. So I have all these little wreaths. Oh, a cherry. Hang on one second, Kurt. I've got some cherries. Here's a little red cherry. Here's a little blue cherry. Here's a little black cherry that I tied a little knot in, so it's all sensual or something. I don't know. Alicia asked if I'm gonna glaze them. So I'm being weird with glaze. So this blue right here is actually a glaze. I don't know if you can see that texture on it. So I have a few glazes, but I find that if I were to take, a bird skull and wrap it with a glaze, it looks like a bird skull with glaze on it versus looking like this object that looks more just like a little bird skull. So the glazes are going on kind of like my structure pieces, like a pedestal or that's the only thing that has glaze in my studio. So I'm not sure about glaze. I am testing a lot of glazes, so I'm trying to. I feel like I'm going long. I do have all of these glaze tests. So here's a green licheny glaze, and I just am kind of waiting for the right opportunity to have something to glaze it. So That's my relationship with glaze. Because I'm at cone 6, I can do different things with glazes, but there's also some things I can't do. So at cone 10, you can get some really beautiful reduction and some nice runny glazes, or you can get chino and carbon trapping, and I like all of those things, but those things are more ceramic, more pottery, and I think that doesn't quite match with the vibe of the work I'm making. That was a really pretentious sounding sentence that made me sound like a fancy art guy, and I'm literally making it up as I go. So it's 5. I could go on forever because I love hearing the sound of my own voice. But if people have more questions, or Dan, if you want to take the wheel,
I was going to say, this has been great. And I'm hoping people have questions. We've been giving you a little chatter on the side through the chat screen, but are there folks out there who've got some questions for Kedrick or any comments? We know you are a great fancy art guy.
With my like long hair and my mustache.
Yeah. Anybody out there? Let me see if I can see anybody waving. Who's got some questions? You can unmute and just chime in if you want to. We have about 28 people out there. Anybody? Anybody? Oh yeah, how's married life?
Oh, you know, all my problems are solved, and what else to say? It's great. It's good so far. We have a house here, which is bonkers. You know, I've lived in teeny tiny apartments with way too many roommates in San Jose for too long, and you know, we have a 2-bedroom house with here, which is really nice. So we have our little life. We have lots of plants and lots of pottery, and not enough pottery, I would say. Reagan would probably say we have enough pottery, but I don't think we have enough.
Yeah,
pottery.
Never enough pottery.
I should be. I need to make some lampshades. Reagan is a really good decorator, and we have these hanging lights, and she has commissioned some lampshades I need to throw on the wheel. So yeah. So Reagan got a job at Trader Joe's about 2 weeks before coronavirus panic swept the nation. So we've kind of been on a little bit of a roller coaster with grocery store fun, which I'm sure everybody can empathize with. But yeah, married life's great.
Strange
no
times.
Complaints yet.
Well, we say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks. This was so fun.
Well done.
I miss Higher Fire so much. I think there are things I think of constantly that I miss and appreciated at Higher Fire that are not here. So I do love Higher Fire and miss it, and hope to be back at some point in the future.
The feeling is mutual. We definitely miss you too. So it's so great to catch up and hear and see what you're up to. We will, I think, bring our call to a close, but we have one more important thing to do, and that is somebody, let's see, let me unspotlight and we'll bring ourselves back.
Oh yeah, hi,
bye
everybody.
Go. Hey, we have one more thing to do. We have somebody celebrating a milestone birthday next week. And so here, we'll set this down. You can take a look at this beautiful array of little tartlets for our good buddy Khaled, who has a birthday next week. So we thought we'd give him a treat and a Zoom birthday song. Do you want to, we'll unmute yourself and we'll just sing along here. We all ready? Okay, go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday, dear Khaled.
Happy birthday to you. And many more.
All right, there's a little fun. Hey, right on.
Happy birthday, Khaled.
Yay. Cool. All right, we're going to enjoy some cocktails and treats. And we thank, we have one more thing. Oh my goodness. We do have a giveaway. Khaled, we'll pick a number between 1 and 28. And then we have a new rule, which is you should be an active member if you're going to get it. So we have a place to put your gift. Let's see. So between 1 and 28. Yeah, don't look at the people there. 7. Okay, let's see. What screen am I on? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it's Mary Kay. Mary Kay is the big winner of new texture. Look at that.
Yay.
Awesome. Congratulations, Mary Kay. Yay, Mary Kay and Frank. Good to see you guys. All right. Well, happy Thirsty Thursday, everybody. We'll stick around and we'll chat with you if you want to chat, and we'll drink the rest of our cocktails. A big, big thank you to both Kedrick and Khaled for providing us all kinds of education and entertainment today. So thank you guys so much. All right. We'll sign off for now, but we'll stick around if you guys want to chat.
Right. Bye, everyone.